Hello.
Hi. One of them days today, innit? Your camera's eating it.
Yeah.
What else has gone wrong? Loads of stuff has gone wrong.
You might have left a tool that shouldn't have been in the...
Oh yeah, I left my drill in my hot wash tank. That was funny. So, it's alright. It's guaranteed by Snap-on, right?
Yeah, happy days.
So, let's see if we can make it through the intro and we'll put a crank in an RS3. Or, by the end of it, have a pile of rubble and we'll all go home crying. That's that.
So we're back.
We are back, mate.
In the engine room.
In the engine room. To see what we can break today.
With your camera, because mine's decided to...
Doesn't like you.
Stop working.
No. Don't blame it.
It's seen a bit of action over the last couple of years. Might be time for an upgrade.
Yeah. Is that the one you run over at Coombe?
No, that was the old one.
Did that die?
Yeah.
The one you run over at Coombe. So, because we somehow managed to miss an important step in the last video, well, we kind of showed a little bit of it. What I'm going to do is, we'll put bearings in. I've already measured them because I've clearanced the bearings, because if I tried to do that and show, so what we'll do is we'll put the bearings in, we'll Plastigage one bearing so we can show you, but we'll basically put the crank in, then we'll flip it over, we'll put the rings in and we'll gap the rings, and we'll go through again gapping the rings, because I think last week we kind of skipped a step in the video, didn't we?
Well, you say we, it was mainly me.
It's a it's a team thing, mate. It's a team thing. The glory is mine, the failures are ours. No, that's not right. Hang on a minute. The failures...
Mate.
So, we're not professional tubers, are we? We just try and have a bit of a laugh. So
Exactly.
yeah, we missed a step out. So, some people noticed and other people didn't. So, we go through ring gapping. So, I'm going to try and get a crank in, get studs in, get the caps on. I'm going to Plastigage a cap for you, so at least to show you that way, because not everybody has got this kind of kit, so we'll do that. So at least then with Plastigage you kind of know where you are roughly with it. Yeah, flip it over, get the rings in, and then hopefully try and get a rod and a piston sat in as well. So let's get cracking. So the first thing is block's clean, mounted on a stand. Make sure you've got no sharp burrs here, right? Make sure you got nothing sat there. Obviously, this is a brand new block, so I don't have to face. I face different problems.
Yeah.
The other way, but on a used block, you've got to be a little bit more careful. So bearings, again, make sure they're clean. And I always kind of sit the tang side in first, yeah, and then just a little bit of inward pressure so you don't scrape the back of the bearing. So if you've got a really sharp edge here,
yeah,
you get like a scraper effect and you get a build up of material in behind, so you just got to be careful you don't get that.
So again, it's just gently with everything.
Yeah, if it feels wrong, it normally is.
Yeah.
And again, just keep an eye on this backside, because if you've clipped the bearing or if you've scraped the bearing pushing it in, you'll get a build up of material here, so you just need to be careful you don't get that. So I have got all 6 bearings sat in, so we're going to set a bit of bearing lube on. Might just get a new one. Stuff's lovely, smells of cinnamon.
Really?
It's got a child look top on it.
You can never get off.
Yeah. Yeah, it smells of cinnamon. Smell it. Smell my lube.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yep. It smells like Christmas. So just paint your engine lube. Your engine lube? Yeah, paint your bearing lube on.
And do you use a specific type for this?
So anything bearings, I've kind of got into using this Maxima assembly lube. To be fair, any proper assembly lube, like don't use engine oil. It's no good.
Yeah.
Not for, because at the end of the day, what you first couple of rotations of this are going to be completely dry. So at least with a proper assembly lube, you give the bearings a chance. So what have I used in the past? I used Torco for a little while, and then I've started using this stuff. So yeah, it'll kind of jelly out. I have got a little bit left in that one, but when you're shaking it out, it's a nightmare. We just assembly grease as well. So number 5 cap has a tanged fresh washer, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of got I stick them to the cap with assembly lube, and the lower ones you can just slide them in. So what we're going to do, give it one last check, and I might do a noisy bit and just blow through the journals again, just to make sure, because I always get. So obviously we brush the journals. We got special brushes that go down inside of the journals.
Yeah.
So we just
make sure there's no
check
debris left
everything through everything with a magnifying glass and a light and that sort of thing. But it's just that last little check just to sort of make sure you're happy. So nice and gentle. Like that.
And she's in.
And she's in. So we'll put fresh washers in first. So again, I use assembly grease on our fresh washers. Just be quite liberal. On a DCT it's not so bad, but if you think on a manual, especially if it's a big power car, always make sure you get the grooves in the right orientation as well.
Yep.
That's quite important. Bloody hell, Ricks, wrong place. On a manual, especially on an engine where you've got to press the clutch to start, if you've got a big heavy clutch and dry fresh washers, you know, you can do damage to fresh washers.
Sure.
This is why, like a lot of the Golf R stuff or S3s, the manuals, when you put uprated clutches in them, you should run those either resistors or get it coded out. Get the clutch to start coded out, because it's not good. It's not good. Make sure my groove's in the right way. And literally, in it goes, and just feed it round. Right. So the only thing I'm going to do now is just clean that lube off under the cap.
Yep.
So you've got nothing sat where the cap would then go. I think so. So at least you've got a clean area for the cap to press down on then. Right, so we need to push bearings into the caps now. We'll put studs in first because I forgot the studs. So these are bulleted studs. I don't know whether anyone's seen the strip down video, but if they're flat-ended studs, you need to use like a ball bearing under them.
Yep.
So you've got a rounded bottom, but these are ball bearing studs. So we just run sub assembly lube down them and then seat them all down. But I'm going to need to go and find a strange American socket because they're not metric. Literally just should go in nice and smooth, no binding up till it seats at the bottom. Like that.
1.
12 to go. So if they bind up going in, you need to run a thread cleaner down the threads.
Yep.
Which I've already done in a wash tank, because you'll obviously leave residue in the threads which you need to get out before you can build it. So we do it in a wash tank. We do quite a bit of wash tank, hence why I left my snap-on drill in my wash tank and put it on for a 60-minute wash.
Dope.
My drill's clean now. It's clean.
It's very clean.
Yeah.
But does it work?
No. But it's clean.
Well,
do you know what I mean? That's all that matters.
It's a nice ornament now.
Yeah. Someone's gone in.
So this would be the same process when you're building a V10 and things like that? Yeah.
Yeah. The build techniques don't change really.
Yeah.
The only thing that would say slightly differ is on this I would put the crank in, torque the crank up, just check that it turns over smoothly. On a V10 I would, because the bottom girdle holds the crank in, on a V10 I'd put the crank in, put the bottom girdle on, torque it up, test how the crank turns, take the girdle off, take the crank out, turn it back over, then put all the rods and pistons in.
Yeah.
Because it's open like this, it doesn't have individual caps, it's all encapsulated over the top. I haven't got one in here.
Sure. No.
So it all encapsulates the top, so you need to get the rods on the crank before you can put the top on.
Yeah.
Which is why we do it that way. So it's a bit more of a faff, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's got double the amount.
If there's any binding or any pinching on anything you do, then you need to go back and readdress what you've...
Yeah, rather than just trying to fight through it.
Yeah, something's wrong.
So we thought we were going to have a guest in the engine room today.
Yeah.
But he got a bit camera shy.
Bottled it, did our Jimmy. So he's he worked at Mercedes when I was an apprentice.
Okay.
And by today's laws and standards, bullied me.
It was character building, I think he would have said at the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're close. If it wasn't for his wife, we wouldn't be friends as long as we were. Sally will laugh at that. His boys watch, so Matthew and Oliver watch. So
yep.
Yeah, they're good lads. He probably has popped up in the background in some, isn't he? To be fair,
possibly.
I'm sure he has. Like he was, but he'll be at a track day, so he won't be able to get away from it. But
cool.
Yeah, he's a big 6 foot odd, bald-headed bloke. Can't miss him. But yeah, so oh god, the abuse I used to get as an apprentice. But my first bike was a scooter. It was a little Honda Vision 50. And when I very, very first got it, it had a top box on the back, and I just wanted to ride it before I ever took it off. And one day I'm driving home and I get to Mannington roundabout and I like fall off it because it was so top heavy.
Yeah.
And they'd put a battery out of a Mercedes in the top box.
No.
Yeah, oh mate, it must be like 40-50 kilos. So I stopped and like and it just fell over. Yeah. They James used a forklift and put it in a skip. Everything, mate. Just yeah, you wouldn't get away with it now, but like the old boy I worked with, Phil. Oh mate, he used to hit me. Actually, proper hit me. Yeah.
Well, have you got something wrong?
Yeah. He used to bat me, but I am the way I am because of him. Because he did all the old stuff. Yeah. So the thinking bit, it wasn't like just spin an oil filter kind of thing. Sure. So, yeah, I look back at it now and it's like, you know, always aware that you look back at it and you're like, oh, sort of quite nostalgic. But at the time, I didn't think that.
Oh, I can imagine.
Went on holiday and they put all cop slip under the drawer handles of my drawers. So you open your drawers and you got... I got a broom handle put down my overalls and hung on an engine crane. Loads, mate. Right, so we've got all the studs in. Yep. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pushing bearings into caps. Right. So we're just gonna, same as before. I'm just gonna do it by eye. Right. You're gonna make sure you don't pinch the back. You're gonna try and get it in. Make your bearings in square. So you'll always get a little overhang each side because that's how bearing crush works, but you just want it, you don't want it stuck out one way or the other. Make sure it's in square. So just take your time, look down it, and then we'll lube. Number one, give it a little wiggle seat on the dowels.
There we go.
Let me just keep doing that. I'm going to, I won't do 6, I think I'll put Plastigage on 5.
Okay.
Because I can slide hammer 5 back out, whereas 6 you have to like wiggle it, and I don't like wiggling the dowels too many times. There's no way to lift it out, whereas at least on 5 I can put a slide hammer in the top of the cap and pull it out, so we'll do that. So yeah, I don't know whether you can see that, I've pushed it in. You see it's hung at the top here?
Yeah, yeah.
So you just need to then...
Just proud.
Yeah. There you go. It's come back in square now. So just make sure it's square, that's it. These are a little bit more fiddly to get in because they're cross bolted as well.
Okay.
Alright, so I've got 2 bolts that go in from the side.
Oh, hang on.
One that side.
Yep.
Yeah? And one that side.
Okay.
So as it goes in, you just got to, like if you try and get it in square, not square, it kind of won't go in. You just got to make sure you get it in square. In number 3. The other thing to remember as well is stuff like this. Yeah, the block is aluminium, but the caps are cast.
Yeah.
So if you go and wash anything, get it out, get it dried immediately, and then also put like a bit of WD-40 on it, or a bit of light machine oil. You know, we use motor maintenance spray because that's what the workshop's full of, but just something to stop the corrosion setting in. Even if it's surface corrosion, one, it looks crap on your builds.
Yeah.
But 2, if you start getting surface corrosion where your bearings sit, then you're going to affect your bearing clearance. So just, yeah.
It doesn't take long, does it, for that to go
seconds.
out?
You leave it, if you like, you know, put it in a wash tank and forget it 20 minutes, especially in a wash tank where it's sort of hot and humid even after it's finished. I mean, we run our wash tank at 60 degrees with Super B in it. You know, you can leave it and everything's orange.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. So right, so we're going to put just a strip of, just on this one, just to kind of show you, of Plastigage. Right, so I'm going to show you how you Plastigage. So we put a little bit of grease, a little bit of assembly lube on the journal, on the bearing face, the journal face, sorry. Alright.
Yep.
And we assemble the bearing into the cap. Like so. Right. Interesting square. Same again in here. So what you don't really want is the Plastigage to sort of stick too much to the bearing or stick to the journal, because it's plasticine basically.
Sure.
So get a box like that. So we use the red because they come in different sizes. So this is 0.025 to 0.175 mil clearance checker. You can use it for everything, but there's obviously different sizes. Tell I don't bloody use it often. So you will get a little envelope like this, right? Just got to be delicate with it, because if you crush it or damage it, then it's worthless. Little envelope, little instruction sheet on how to use it. But we're British, so we don't read instructions.
Of course we don't.
Your gauge, so you can either work in metric or you can work in thou, right? And then the gauge itself. So I just want a journal's width, really. So I'm going to cut myself about that much, right? Just dab your finger with a little bit of assembly grease, you can pick it up like so, and just seat it across right at the peak, but across the journal like that. All right,
That is fiddly.
that's fiddly. So this is, I mean, to be fair, we'd still even use it really. This gives you a visual check of what you've already done.
Yeah.
So even if you measure your bearings, you know, mistakes can happen. You can still cock up the measurements. So it never hurts to do. So, right, so we're literally just going to sit that down. All right, and then what I'm going to do is get my nuts. I'm going to just literally on the threads, just put a bit of. So what you're trying to do here, why every torque is given with an assembly lube or a thread lube, is because you don't want friction to become any part of the process.
Yeah.
So if for whatever reason you've got friction on the threads, you might reach the correct torque on your torque wrench, but actually you might not get the right stretch on the bolt or the right stretch on the stud, because the torque you're feeling is the friction,
Sure.
not the yield. So you've got to be careful with that. So we've gone up all the threads, and then I'm just going to put a dab on the seat of all of them, like so, because you also want lube on the under seat. So this is why we always sort of, on our engine builds like this, we'd say 3 heat cycles, and then drop the oil.
Yep.
And then drop the pan, clean the pan out, so you can make sure you get all the moly grease. Like, we use Carrillo stuff, so it's not too bad, but like if you use, say, Loctite moly grease or anything like that, it's black and it just sort of slants your appraisal of your oil.
Yeah. Do people always follow that advice as well?
Well, if it's our engines and we fit them in house, we do.
You do that, yeah.
The guys who obviously have us build engines, I forgot they're bloody American sizes, isn't they? The guys who have us build engines for them will always sort of follow our guidance on what to do. Yeah, we'd always sort of give guidance on how we want our engines running, so to speak.
Sure.
So
Again, have these got to be done in a certain order?
Yeah, they have. You just got, but at the minute you're just snugging them down. So
Yeah.
just do it like half a turn at a time. Come on, socket. Tell they're crap studs when no sockets fit them. Not even American ones. Right, so this is the one with the Plastigage under, so you just got to be careful you don't rotate the crank for whatever reason.
Yep.
And then what we do is we'll tighten them all down and we'll back them two off. What I'm also going to do is mark, if you remember when we took it apart,
Yep.
the front of the stud here, do you remember this?
Yep.
Dented the case.
Of course, yeah.
So if you do one there, and two there, I'm going to remove, I'm going to put a flat on that, yeah, to bring it back in line with the cover.
Sure.
So the top of the cap right in the middle, you see this securing hole for the bridge. We can put a slide hammer in it.
Okay.
So now we can pull it off like so. And then you take your Plastigage, bang on the money. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Well, it's where I wanted to be, where I was expecting it to be anyway.
Yep.
So then we just clean it off. So reseat the bearing, look. You see it's popped the bearing out slightly. And then obviously now we've got to remember to put thrust washers in.
Yep.
Because I don't want to take this one back out. So just a bit of assembly grease on the back, just to hold it while you're putting it in. Like so. Let me tighten them down a sec. Sweet. Right. Moment of truth. Whoa.
Smooth.
Smooth as silk, mate. Let me get my tool that goes in the back. I'll show you. That will turn with the weight of a ratchet on it, that will.
Oof. Smooth.
Sorry about that.
It's very satisfying, that.
Not bad at this, Lark. Sweet. Right. Flip her over, pop some rings in then. So. Set a squaring tool up. So do top rings first.
Yep.
And just use the one across the ring join. That's what I try to do. So it pushes both sides of the ring down evenly. Yeah, because I think we set the ring gap on 1, didn't we?
We did.
On our video. So we'll just do the others. Reset that because I think I knocked it. Right, so we did one on the last video, so I've just double checked that it's right. So we will quickly set these. Go as far as I know what number I need to hit, but as we get closer, you kind of want to make sure you're not. You kind of want to make sure you can go past it, and then what it will do is you'll know then how far you've got to go to get there. Better to, what does it say? Better to cut twice and measure once.
Something like that.
Right, so I am bloody close. Okay, that's a 0.2. Yeah, there we go, mate.
Perfect.
Yep. Right, so what I will do is we obviously know that one is right. We know that one is right. So if I set this one, I can assemble rod and piston then. That is... Go on, sweetheart, big bang on the money. Oh yes, it's where it needs to be anyway, so second ring's always a bit bigger. Right, so if I assemble a rod and a piston now then,
Okay.
we can essentially drop one in. So top ring, bottom ring, circlips are the nightmare bit, piston pin, rod bolts. So rod bolts out, separate the cap. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, like so. Everything's clean, but like I said, we would just dress everything in WD, make sure nothing corrodes. So these are good arrow rods, but that's what you want. Nice clean surface. Yeah. Right. Things to watch for. They shouldn't matter on these, but on V10s it does matter. So the heads of rods chamfered, right? So you've got to be careful with that. You've also got to be careful that they're not tanged bearings. So you've got no side to side location. Same on the cap. The caps, so it's got A5, A5.
Yep.
So you've got to make sure you get the caps on the right way. So we make sure of that. So I want all my rods to face this way, as in arrow to face timing cover, right? So we're going to be mindful of that. And then also, piston has to sit that way because the inlet's on the front. So the valve cutouts have to sit that way.
Yep.
All right. So if it makes your life easier, just put a line, put an arrow on the top of all of them. All right. So at least you know your direction. Right, so I need to put a circlip in, then I can put my piston in, then I can put my rings on because it's easier that way, and then we can drop it in. So I normally do this by sitting a pin in first, so I've got something to push against, and then literally force a ring in. And this is an awful job. I hate doing these. So you're going to see me struggle because they're not cram locks. So we use cram locks on some of the other stuff. You just get flat blade screwdriver and struggle. Making sure that you don't take chunks out your piston. Like that. Alright, and then make sure he clips in, and then I always make sure there's no bit of ring in the groove.
Yep.
So make sure the groove is clear, as in, because that's supposed to be for you to get your tool in, for you to flip your ring out, but I always make sure there's no part of the ring exposed into that, because I don't like it. So that's what I do. Like so. Like even then, trying to be as gentle as I can, you can end up with like a little mark on the side, look.
Yeah.
So you just got to make sure you don't go gouging 7 bells out your piston, but a little mark like that, even if you're sort of a bit ashamed of that, you can just dress it with diamond file. So I wouldn't. You're always gonna, unless you use like cram blocks, which are these. Right. So this is called a cram lock. So this works by you got a tang on the. You see, you got a tang on the circlip.
Yeah.
So you can do that. So what you can do then is you can sit it in and then use the tool to control the compression of the circlip. So that's the only way you can put them in without making a mark, because maybe little stuff where you can do it like small weak circlips, but on big circlips, just like they're 0.73 gauge wire. 0.73 gauge, so yeah, they're pretty big. So piston. Assembly loop. Like so. Start the clip to feed in, the pin in. And then gently feed it in, and just sitting like that, and that is it. And then let's get a circlip in. Same again. Like so. That's it. In. Done.
Job done.
So, what way's a Daza spin? Major thrust is that side. So I never put a ring brake on major thrust. So we're going to go oil control ring brake on minor. Going to go one. Make sure you get your oil guide rings in the right way, the spring. So it needs to be the bottom one. Like so. One's pin face. Don't break it, don't break it. So I never spiral a second ring on. Like, you see how I did it that way, where I spread it apart?
Yeah.
Right? Top ring, you can spiral on. I don't spiral on second ring because it bends.
Okay.
Whereas a top ring, that's fine. If you spiral a second ring on, it will sit up and out. So you just got to be careful with that. Right. That's one on. Right, let's put that in, mate. If I put a... So then putting a bearing in then, you just need to make sure you put bearing in square. Right? So you try to get it in the middle as much as you can. See what I mean? It's fiddly now without a tang. But that's all a bearing tang is there for. Is to locate it side to side in a rod. And that's it. You've got no tang. So if you've got a good bench... Well, I tell you what, there you go. Can you see how much that bearing is not pushed in that side? Can you see where it meets in the bench?
Yep.
So then you can just do that. And you know it's in square then. Right. So I put gloves on because I'm going to oil the balls and the rings now to put one in. So do my bit for health and safety. Let me just pop this bearing in because obviously in a minute I'm going to want to put bearing cap on. So see, can you just see that little bit down in there?
Yep.
You see it? If I get a pick. So that's where that part of the rod is just ever so slightly picked a little bit off the back of the bearing.
Okay.
It's like, it's not much, but you've got to keep an eye out for that. It's just there, I can't quite get it if I push the bearing down. But that's the sort of, that's what you're looking for, like, you know. Right, so I'm high on. Well, there we go, if I do that. You see? She's just wiped it.
Yeah.
So you just got to be super careful with that. That's what you're against. All the time. Little bits like that. So just, again, take it back out. And all that is that's still chamfered, but it's just so tight. You could hear it going in. Do you know what I mean? You could hear it scrape. So that's where that little bit of inward pressure helps. Like if these didn't have dowels in, you'd just put it upside down square and push it square. Still not quite flush. I don't like using anything that might damage the bearing. Sometimes you just got to keep popping it out until you get it back in right. Nope, it's too much. It's not going to go like that. Yeah, go with the spring now.
Yeah.
Like I said, you'll always get a little bit out because this is what affects your bearing crush. So there's got to be. That's it. I got it. Cool. Right. So we are gonna pack the ring grooves like so. And I'm literally gonna oil the ball top to bottom. Alright. Like so. That's what you want, like that. Cool. Right, I need 82.5. So get your tool so you're half hanging out the bottom. Pistons at BDC. Sorry, cranks at bottom dead centre. So your crank's out of the way so you're not going to nick it. Right. Push your tool down. If it's a bit tight, you can use like a piston hammer, but I'm just going to push that today. Like so.
There it is.
Easily peasily, mate. Right, let's get rid of that one. Get rid of that one because it's oily. Right, put that in there. Let's back off. Just haven't done something stupid now, have I? That's front valves. Yeah, that's right. One, two, three. Alright. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come back slightly. Alright. We're going to pull our piston up. Alright.
Yep.
We are going to put some lube on it. And then we're just going to bring it up nice and gentle, like so. I hate these bits. Right, so now we just need to match up our sides. So I'm either A5, A5, perfect. A little sneak together, and then we will just. ARP bolts. So I will, in good taste, use ARP assembly lube. So and then just a little bit under the head, like so. See that?
Yep.
Stuff is horrible. Drop it in said hole. Ooh, getting slippy now, mate.
We're nearly there.
We are nearly there. So, tens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to snug it up with a ratchet, pull a rod together. All right. Then I'm going to back it off slightly, and I'm going to put my stretch gauge on. So what we're doing at the minute is pulling the cap and the rod together. Let's just make sure you're nice and even.
Yep.
All right. So just a lot of it you can do by hand. Right, so I always go 40 newton meters, roughly about half. So they'll say 0.6 thou stretch is no more than 70 Newton meters. So I'll go about 30, 35 Newton meters just to seat it. Just to make sure it's seated. Right?
Yep.
Like that. Right. Right, so they're both torqued up and seated down, so I'll just do them like half torque, make sure they're seated, that's fine.
Okay.
Right, so we're just going to back them both off, so there's no tension on the bolt, right? Then I'm going to use this tool, which is offset, so I can put my torque wrench on it. Alright, so I'm going to go about here. Right, I'm going to put my stretch gauge on, because in the bottom of each bolt is a dimple, right? And then I'm going to set it to 0. So wiggle it around, make sure you're 0. Like so, alright? It's a bit fiddly, but we'll have to do it in little steps basically. So now I can just put my tool out. Right. So I'll double check. So we're not to exceed 60 Newton meters. So I'll set my torque wrench to that. 62 is max. But we need to get to 6 thou, so I need to go to the 5 and beyond. Ooh. There we go. I think I'm just about that. See how fiddly it is?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Right, that's... Yeah, 6. But I had to do quite a bit of torque to get there. It's not to exceed 62 foot-pounds, not Newton meters, bloody metric system. So we were right, because I was only just over 70 then. Right, so I'm going to do the same on this one. I'm going to set my gauge. I'm going to put my tool on first. So bolt's loose. Gauge on. Make sure we gauge it. Let me come right there, mate, so you can see it.
Yep.
Alright. So there we go. That's 4AJ, recommended stretch. Perfect. Oh, happy with that, mate. So that is how you use a bloody stretch gauge.
It's fiddly, isn't it?
Fiddly, yeah, but it's how you should do it.
Yeah.
So that's right. So there's no point me showing you all the others.
No.
Because it's all the same. So flip it over. Yeah. That's it. Piston in, rod in. I've even got a piston in the right way, mate, which makes a change. See what I'm saying?
So next step complete.
Next step complete.
Get in there.
Yeah, so I've got to get the rest of them in. I'm going to machine these bolts down. I think we were all right on these two. I just have to remind myself. I might go back and watch the video, but I definitely need to shave those.
Yeah.
Because the uprated cover I've got is billet, so there's no giving it. Finish getting the rods and pistons in, and then yeah, we should be good to go, to be fair. Then I can just put covers on. So head's back and built, seats have been cut, that sort of thing. So yeah, we should be alright, to be fair. I think we should be alright.
Happy days.
Alright.
Nice one. So
cool.
A bit more tech from the engine room.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
I know I'm knackered now. Need a cup of tea.
You definitely need a cup of tea.
So yeah, I hope you like it. I mean, this is what everyone asked for, was the Daza build stuff. Yeah, all right, we messed up and we missed the ring gap side of it out, but
have we caught up on that again now?
yeah, we've gone through that now.
Okay.
So in theory, that should be everything now. Assembling the bottom end. All right, I didn't show you measuring the clearances, but I had to do that off camera in this last week, so I could order bearings, so we had something to build today.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
but the Plastigage showed that we're bang on where we want to be, so we're bang on the money. So yeah, I've got to put the rest of the rods and pistons in, then we can put the bottom covers on, and maybe what I'll do is when I've got the rods and pistons in and I've got the head here and done, we can do like an assembly video of literally like banging the bottom covers on, timing it up, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, sounds good.
yeah, I can get everything cleaned, ready, sort of done. So yeah,
Lovely
cool.
job. So
Let me put a oh, I don't have a Lamborghini bag to cover it over with. I'm gonna get a bag to cover it.
Yep.
And we are good to go.
So in the meantime,
Smash buttons, and we'll see you next week. I don't know what we're doing next week. We were supposed to be doing something cool today, but that didn't happen because of the weather. Never mind. It'll be alright.
yes.
It'll be alright. So,
All right. Well done, bud.
cool. No worries. See you guys later.
See you next time.